detriment, because you might find yourself falling into where the industry has been instead of where it could be going. So learn as much as you can about specifically how to do 3D graphics programming, or how to do art, or how to do whatever it is that you want to focus on. Learn about the actual craft, not so much about the industry, although obviously having industry expertise, knowing about games, that sort of stuff is very valuable. Once you've done that, work on your own kind of creative portfolio. Instead of starting up your own games company, do something that shows that you're good at what it is that you're doing. Come up with some really neat new sorting algorithm, or some sort of code that explains that you can do it, or some demonstration that's not really a finished game that you intend to bring to market, but demonstrates the capabilities that you do. And once you do that, you can go to any company, in any role, and try to get yourself in. Talk to the people. Don't talk to the president of the company. Usually go and talk to the guys who are programmers on the different teams, or the guy who's the head of development, or the lead artist, or that sort of thing. Persuade that person that you have that sort of specialization that you've worked on by showing them your portfolio. So that's sort of the second things that you can do. The third thing is, once you're in, get experience at that company. Do anything that you can. Do everything that you can within your area. Take advantage of any opportunities that come up. If somebody says, hey, we need somebody to try to figure out how to do the menu option screens for the game, go do that, right? Because that's how you'll create your role. So do more than you might have done, just basically if you took the job description of the game. Try to go beyond that, okay? It's really hard to start up your own company from scratch in software development, because it's very, very expensive to produce a game, to produce the kinds of games that you're playing today. Most games, the average budget now is somewhere around $2 million. I mean, it's just, unless you have $2 million that you want to invest to try to get other people to help you out, it's going to be very hard to produce the kinds of games that are available commercially. So what your goal has to be is to get the expertise and develop the experience, create contacts with other people, so that rather than starting up your own company, and again, remember that this isn't a hard and fast rule, this is more sort of the norm, you can branch out and create your own sort of spin-off company. Go and produce a group that is, all the members have their own unique talents, and go and build a company once you have developed your skills and your expertise. The thing that you want to do when you go and spin out and start start producing games on your own is to reduce risk wherever possible, and that goes all throughout the development process. When developers talk about risk and minimizing risk and identifying and managing and mitigating risks, what they're talking about is anything that could delay the eventual shipment of the product. So that means not having enough money, that means not having people with the right tools, that means taking on too much of a task, that means anything that could derail the eventual shipment of the product. Because that's what a publisher is going to look for, is how are you going to deliver this? Why is the game going to sell, and how are you actually going to ship a product? I mean, we've all heard probably about the titles that had a lot of potential. You saw great screenshots, you went, wow, that looks really cool. Where are these titles now? Well, generally, the companies that were producing them didn't do a really good job of minimizing their risks, and they went out of business. And that's going to be key when you start talking to publishers. I want to digress a little bit. There's been sort of a lot of misunderstanding about what the role of a publisher is, and why you have to deal with a publisher, why you can't just sort of make a game and take it to retail. Publishers serve a very, very important role. They assume basically all the financial risk. They'll pay you your salary. They'll pay you, so that you have enough money to pay the rent for your offices. They'll pay you so you have enough blank CDs to burn the CDs. I mean, they'll do all of that stuff. In exchange, what they expect is the majority of the money that comes in. Now, that may not be fair because, damn it, it's your creative idea and you had the idea, and they're taking credit for all that. But the fact is, they're assuming all that risk. Your game doesn't sell, you go out of business. You're not going to give all that money back unless they can somehow track you down and make you go work for them for 500 years to pay back the $2 million that they gave you. The fact is that you're expecting, they're taking a shot at what you're trying to deliver, and in exchange, they expect to be able to participate in the return. So what you have to persuade them is, why will it sell, right? What's unique about this game that's going to make it sell? And how are you going to actually deliver something at the end of 18 months or 2 years? And so that's what you've got to do. And so that takes me to rule number 4, which is the importance of the business guy. I think that, that's probably the role that's sort of most underappreciated. Everybody knows sort of what the programmer does. Everybody knows what the designer and the level designer do, and the artists and the sound guys. But if you do find yourself in a position where you are going to start up your own company and try to make a run for it, or if you're going to spin off from another company, you've got to get yourself a really kick-ass business guy. And that's something that even Brian can do, I think. Probably. The business guy is going to do 3 things for you. The first thing is that he's going to make sure that you're disciplined, that the project keeps moving, that you're meeting your milestones. He's also the one who's going to help you to reduce the risks. He's going to help you make the decision whether you want to build the technology or buy, license an engine, if you want to acquire artwork somewhere else, how you're actually going to do this so that you mitigate the risk wherever possible. And the third thing is he's going to focus on all the sort of non-game stuff so that you can actually specialize again, which goes back to rule number 1, specialize on your area. So the programmers are just programming, and the artists are just doing art, and the sound guys are just doing sound, and the level guys are doing level. And I'm sure that if Richard had to focus on making sure that payroll got processed every week, that you'd never cease it, right? So again,
I'd have a new car though.
You would have a new car, but you got to specialize. So the last thing is, again, reduce risks wherever possible. I mean, even the guys at Vicarious were just saying, Terminus, went out of control and it got really huge and it went beyond the initial scope. I mean, I'm sure that that's sort of, that they're really focused on what the game is, and I'm sure that's sort of overstatement. But that is stuff that we hear generally from companies that aren't as successful as they are. If you allow things to go beyond the scope by trying to do everything too much too quickly, then that's how things escalate to the point where you see 3-year development cycles. You decide that you're going to do the very, very best 3D rendering technology and the very, very best game scripting language and the very, very best, storyline and level design and art and all that sort of stuff. If you sit down initially and you spend the time to really get a good plan together, and then you're just absolutely fastidious about making sure that you don't, it'd be really cool to add in that new feature or that new AI, but it might add another 6 months to the schedule. You've got to ship your product. There's always your second product. There's always your ability to improve and to add on what you've done. So I mean, I think that's sort of the stuff that we're seeing among companies that are sort of most successful is, they really, and people who are most successful, is that they find an area that you just associate with them absolutely first and foremost, and then they have the discipline to make sure that they go forward and stay focused on all that stuff.
That was beautiful, man. That was everything.
Like, why are we here? That was
But then there's the black side, though. You're going to lose your girlfriend or boyfriend, or your girlfriend and boyfriend. You're going to start smoking and drinking. You're going to call your crack pipe by first name. So it's not all fun. Seriously, that was like everything right there.
Yeah. Now, two things always happen at Microsoft, especially after we ship an operating system. You always see about half the people get divorced, and the other people, the wives are suddenly pregnant.
Marrying the divorcees.
Yeah. So you either get divorced or you get pregnant after this sort of stuff happens. Because no, it's true. It's because you do have to be disciplined, and you are focused during that development process first and foremost on getting that thing to ship.